Past meets future in this quick look at the LG G3 versus the G2. With the LG G3, LG continues on the path opened with the predecessor, with the marquee features introduced on the G2 making a return on the new generation. We're talking, of course, about the thin bezels on the front and the rear-mounted buttons. Just like the G2, the G3 has a very high screen-to-footprint ratio, which makes for an almost futuristic look. But when it comes to the size, the G3 is definitely larger, but only slightly heavier than the G2. And we have to keep in mind that LG increased the screen size by a full 0.3 inches for the G3. Overall, LG put those thin margins to good use and delivered a 5.5-inch device that's noticeably smaller than other devices with this screen size and is probably one of the best handling ones out there. The biggest change in design between the two generations is the brushed plastic pattern of the G3. It is plastic, but it has been given a brushed treatment, so it's not really metal, but it kind of feels like a brushed metal back, but it still looks quite convincing and lends itself to a nice feel. LG calls this a metallic skin, and it's supposed to be scratch resistant and to offer protection against fingerprint smudges. Overall, the G3 will be available in 5 colors: black, white, gold, violet, and burgundy red. As mentioned earlier, LG increased the display size from 5.2 to 5.5 inches on the G3 while pumping up that resolution to an amazing Quad HD. It was already very hard to see pixels on the full HD G2, but it may be downright impossible to discern them on this, that has a pixel density of over 500 ppi. While there were other devices with Quad HD panels before already, the G3 will be the first that's generally available around the world, which is a great achievement for LG. Overall, it's beautiful, dense, bright panel that will give any device out there a run for its money. And despite rumors to the contrary, the G3 comes with the quad-core Snapdragon 801 processor and 2GB of RAM, just like its main competitors, the Galaxy S5 and the M8. With the speed of modern SoCs, you probably won't miss the upgraded processor, though a Snapdragon 805 would have helped the high-intensity games and for some future proofing. The G2, on the other hand, is quite similar in terms of its performance, sporting the Snapdragon 800 clocked in at 2.3 GHz with the same 2GB of RAM. In hardware, the G3 doesn't have the bells and whistles of other flagships, but it's still rich in features and you won't really miss anything essential. LG improved its game compared to the G2, bringing 2 features that were sorely missed: a removable 3000 mAh battery and a microSD card slot, both accessible in that removable back cover. Both phones feature a 3000 mAh battery, but the big question is how much power will that Quad HD screen draw? Theoretically, the G3 should offer shorter battery life compared to its predecessor, but LG said it optimized both the hardware and software to enable the G3 to keep up with its power-thirsty display. The LG G3 features a camera setup that's quite similar to what was found on its predecessor with a 13-megapixel rear shooter with OIS+. OIS+ was already seen in the G Pro 2, and we deemed it a very good performer. Now, while the sensor is similar to the G2's, according to LG, it's been optimized for even better results. The big addition on the G3 is the laser autofocus system, which should help shorten the focusing times, even in less than ideal lighting situations. This laser is emitted from the little window placed on the back of the device near the camera. Overall, I did see that the autofocusing times were vastly shortened, at least compared to the LG G2, which had a really slow focusing time. LG has revamped the user interface on the G3, making it simpler, smoother, and more modern. It's a step away from the eye candy-heavy interface of the past, though overall it's unmistakably LG. The geometric icons are a nice touch, opting for more circles all around, and the revamped notifications drop-down is a great improvement over the ones of the past. That said, LG still packs a ton of features into its software with a lot of new, useful features as well. New additions include LG's own version called Smart Notice of a Google Now-like interface, which attempts to be a virtual assistant. The feature recommends an umbrella, for example, if weather may be rainy, or reminds you to call someone back if you missed a call. We'll need more hands-on time to see how it is, but it's good to see LG trying to make meaningful improvements to its software. And if you buy a Quick Circle smart cover, you'll get to use the phone through its circular window. You get to put several apps in the circular interface for quick access, and developers will be able to add their own using LG's SDK. And so, there you have it for this quick look at the LG G3 and its predecessor, the G2. This is a vast improvement all around from the original to the one that we have now, and it's going to be a pretty compelling device, especially with that larger display, but still LG's quintessential style. So keep it tuned here to Android Authority for further coverage of the LG G3, because we are your source for all things Android.